can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get us any.
You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, live on Zodiac TV today. We're also obviously on Facebook Live on TGI Sports Talk and Northeast Streaming Sports. We're on YouTube. We're live on, and you can catch us later on all the podcast channels you can think of, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. There's a ton of them you can find us. So welcome to our Sunday morning stream of consciousness. Listen, I want to thank first my guest from Friday, Mr. Andre Lacroix, former NHL and WHA hockey player, all-time leading scorer in the WHA, which was a very good hockey league, guys, and a competitor to the NHL before it merged in the late 70s or, I guess late 70s into 80, 79-80 season. And Andre is missing from the excuse me, the wrong thing up there, is missing from the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I think it's a great omission. And we had a great conversation, so check out that interview. We had a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and Andre's just a fun guy to chat with, and we may have him on again here at some point. I also want to thank all the groups that allow me to share these shows with. Again, if you're getting this in your group, I guarantee there'll be some content that is relevant to you. Good morning, Mickey Delaney in the state of Washington. I apologize. Denny got up. I'm sorry, Denny. Mickey got up at 5 a.m. to watch us at 8 a.m. here on the East Coast, so I apologize. Listen, guys, also my guest, and you'll see a promo for it later, my guest on Friday will be Pete Corrado, who is the author of From Hang Time to Prime Time, basically the story of the evolution of the NBA from the 70s when the league was, franchises were ready to fold. They're moving right and left. They had competition from the ABA. TV contract was terrible. Games were tape delayed. Even championship games were on 11:30 at night, tape delayed here in the East Coast. To what it became under the stewardship as they moved from Walter O'Malley to O'Brien to David Stern, who turned the NBA into the force that it is today. Again, good morning from Mickey. Good morning, David Guyette. Mickey beat you this morning, David. I don't know how many of our other regulars will be here today on this rainy, awful, dreary weekend, Memorial Day weekend here in upstate New York, but we have to remember where we live. I think in my lifetime, I remember more Memorial Day weekends like this than nice. So it is what it is, guys. Get out, have some fun. I did get my lawn fertilized this morning before the rain kicks up again, so we can make some hay. Good morning, Keith Hayes. How are you today? Good to see you this morning. Awesome to have you guys. We're going to talk NBA, Major League Baseball to get started. We'll go through the scores, a little bit about the standings, maybe look at the power rankings a little bit. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs, obviously. The Knicks in a bit of trouble. The Nets finally lose. And while that may be a good thing, we'll talk some NHL playoffs, looking at the wrap up of the first round and into the second round. Then we got a little bit of NFL to talk about. And as always, guys, bring your topics. We will chat about anything you guys want to chat about today. So try to stay on the topic we're on. That's all right. For on the baseball segment, try and stay in baseball. And I know with the delay, I sometimes have to go backwards to answer the questions or get into the topics you guys are interested in. But this show is your show too, guys. So that's why I like to make Sunday's show. We are going to start having some guests here and there as well. Lining up a few guys to come in and chat about baseball. Some guys to talk about the 70s Yankees. There's a guy who runs the Horace Clark years on Facebook. What a great site. What a great group. And I enjoy talking or following that group and interacting with them. And it's one of my favorite groups on Facebook. And I'm going to have the admin of that show on soon. We're going to talk a little bit about the 70 Yankees. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. How are you today? So, guys, Major League Baseball. Let's dive into it. Take a quick look at the oh boy, did I just nope, I didn't. Okay, hold on. God, I get myself all set up and then I screw it up in one fell swoop. Anyway, let's go through the scoreboard. Pirates. You know, the Pirates and the Rockies and the Diamondbacks and the Tigers, most likely, despite their success against the Yankees this weekend, are going to vie for the worst record in baseball. But the Pirates shut out the Rockies yesterday, 7-0. Brubaker with the win and John Gray with a loss there. Brubaker pitched pretty well, 6 scoreless innings. And Gregor Polanco, just a guy who I thought was going to be a great player for Pittsburgh and never really has gotten over the hump, did go 2 for 3 with an RBI yesterday. The Rays, the red-hot Rays, 9-1 in their last 10 games, are now in first place by a half a game over the Boston Red Sox. Win 5-3 over the Phillies. The Phillies struggling a bit. They've fallen 3.5 games behind the Mets, who have won 4 in a row, and we'll talk about them a little bit. And it's been amazing with the job that they're doing staying alive. Wheeler did pitch 7 innings, gave up only 3 runs here, but Austin Meadows was 2 for 3 with a home run and a couple RBIs. And the Rays, again, amazingly, have put together a good team, and it's going to be an interesting race. We'll talk about the standings here in a second, but it's going to be an interesting race in that AL East going forward. The Brewers, up and down. I think they've won 3 in a row now. They continue their seesaw season. They win 4-1 over the Nationals yesterday. Freddie Peralta, who has pitched really well for the Brewers, pitched 7 innings with just an earned run, and he did get the win in this game. Patrick Corbin got the loss, and that's it for that. The White Sox, who I think are still, among the best teams in baseball, and we'll talk about that when we get into the power ratings here in a little bit. The White Sox win 7-4 over the Orioles, who have lost, I think, 12 in a row now. The Orioles I didn't mention in my race for the worst team in baseball, but they will be there. Horrible, horrible team. If I'm an Oriole team, I am just beyond distraught how this team year after year does nothing to get themselves better and put themselves in a position to compete. The Twins trying to fight back. They've played much better of late, but they dug themselves a big hole. They win 6-5 over the Royals, who have fallen back to earth after a fast start. The Twins did get a home run from Larnach yesterday. J.A. Happ, former Yankee, and Jay gets the win, 3-2 with a much AJ. I keep saying AJ. J.A. Happ ERA of 5.24. And Santana gets a loss in this game. A little surprised he's still kicking around, but he's 0-1. Moving on, the Cubs playing well. I think they've won, let's see real quickly. I think the Cubs have won 6 in a row. Again, I was not high on the Cubs, but they're playing really good baseball. Second place behind the Cardinals in the Central of the NL. They went 10-2 over the Reds yesterday. Ortega was 1 for 3 with a home run. Jock Peterson 2 for 5 with a couple RBIs. Thompson gets the win. Castillo gets the loss. Castillo, who I was very, very high on, guys. Gosh, if I'm reading his numbers right, I was looking for the Yankees to try to trade for this guy before the season. He's 1-8. Can't be right. 1-8 before Memorial Day. 7 earned run average. Dodged the bullet there, Yankees. Thank you. keeping an eye on your guys' comments. I'm back inside today. If you haven't noticed, the weather is not conducive to an outside broadcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed the outdoor broadcast because I like doing it when it's nice. I think I'm going to try to continue to do that. I hope you guys have enjoyed that experience. The Pirates 4-0. Again, I keep talking about all these teams. They did have a doubleheader yesterday. There were a few doubleheaders. So the second game of this doubleheader, the Pirates win 4-0. By the way, speaking about the Rockies, they did place Trevor Story on the DL. I'm sorry, I keep calling it the disabled list. They've changed it to the injured list, I know, but to me, it's still the disabled list. He has a bad wrist, I believe. So, but don't quote me on that. Adam Frazier still kicked around for Pittsburgh, 2 for 3 with a home run and an RBI. Guy who I think would be a really good cog on a good team, Yankees. As you're looking for some depth, Adam Frazier is a good little player. Angels 4-0 over the Athletics. The Angels are a disappointment though. So far, the Athletics continue to lead the AL West. In that game, Alex Cobb would have pitched 7 innings with no earned runs given up for the winning Angels. Great job. Ohtani, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs. He continues to play very, very good baseball. And the Angels need to be smart, I think, and make him a hitter and stop thinking about pitching him before he gets hurt again. The Red Sox win. Again, they've fallen out of first place, but they're still playing good baseball. 3-1 over the Marlins yesterday. Rafael Devers was 3 for 4 with a double and 2 runs. Hunter Renfroe 3 for 4 with a couple of doubles. Great job by those guys. These guys are stepping up for the Red Sox and surprising me for sure. Nathan Eovaldi gets the win and Rogers gets the loss. And Matt Barnes gets his 12th save. Good job. I was worried about the Red Sox pitching, and they're coming through so far. Tigers beat the Yankees again. The Yankees have lost 3 in a row now. 6-1 yesterday. They lose. Shoop goes 2 for 3 with a homer. Castro goes 2 for 3 with a double. Loss goes to David Garcia, who's not pitching all that great. Yankees pitching in disarray, which we'll talk about a little bit in a second. Turnbull gets the win. The Padres continuing to play really solid baseball, win 11-8 over the Astros. Will Myers 3 for 5 with a home run. For the Astros, Correa was 2 for 4 with a home run. The win goes to Adams, a loss to Garza. In the second game of a doubleheader, the White Sox win 3-1 over the Orioles. Lance Lynn with another win, 5-0 now. I'm sorry, he is 4-1. What is he? Good grief. 6-1 with a 1.3 earned run average. Awesome job. Lance Lynn pitches great everywhere. I say this all the time. Everywhere except for New York. Terrible. Abreu gets a home run for the White Sox in this game as well. And again, good job by Lance Lynn. The Mets, again, with all their injuries, Taijuan Walker, good news for the Mets, back to start this game. He's now 4-1 with a 1.84 ERA. He's really helped. Him and Stroman have pitched really well. Walker was out hurt for a while, but he's pitched really well. DeGrom's coming back, so maybe the Mets injuries can be overcome, and their pad play by some players like Lindor and whatnot. Anyway, we'll touch on that in a second. The Mets 13-2 over the Braves. The Braves just can't get it right either. Ian Anderson, local product. Ian Anderson gets the loss in this game, and did not pitch all that well. Well, he did early in the game, but then things got out of control for the Braves in the 6th inning, 7-run inning. The Brewers win the second game, so they sweep a doubleheader yesterday over the Nationals, 6-2. The Giants continued to hang in there in the West. I'm a little surprised at the Dodgers. They went 11-6. A little surprised at the Giants. They went 11-6 over the Dodgers. Albert Pujols 2 for 4 with a home run. I said he was done. I still think he's done, but he's off to a decent start here. Soon. I think I'll get to your comment in a second, Mickey, because I'm coming up to that game. The Cardinals 7-4 over the Diamondbacks. Adam Wainwright with a win. Keeps on pitching, man. He gets hurt. He's old and he keeps on pitching. 3-4. Reyes has done really well out of the bullpen for the Cardinals with his 15th save in this game. The Mariners 3-2 over the Rangers. Henniger, the outfielder for Seattle, 2 for 4 with a home run. He's having a very nice season for Seattle. And the win goes to Zamora. And Mickey's comment here was what? I had a comment here. Mickey, hold on. Mariners go for this 3-game sweep today. Correct. They've won 3 in a row. They've been very up and down. By the way, the Blue Jays and the Indians did get postponed yesterday. Real quick, let's go take a look at the standings, and we'll touch on some other news and maybe look quickly at the power rankings. I'm going to go through ESPN's power rankings and make my own comments this morning, and you guys can feel free to speak up as you feel free. Mickey mentions the Mariners. The Mariners played really well out of the gate. They've kind of faded a little bit, but they've won 3 in a row now. Going for the sweep today, as Mickey said, they can get back to 500. They're only 4.5 games out of the American League West, and the A's continue to surprise, even with a negative run differential. They're still leading that division by 2.5 games over the Astros. So again, very up and down. A lot of teams very up and down. And a lot of guys hurt around the league, guys. It's an epidemic what's going on around the league as far as injuries go. And I think it's got to do with training a little bit and the way these guys don't prepare for I think it's a combination of things. It's money that these guys make, and the teams are afraid to put them out there and let them get hurt worse. I mean, the guys don't play with injuries that they played with years ago. It's that simple. They get injuries that they didn't have years ago because of the way they train. They don't train and get the base and train their legs and get ready for the long season. Oblique injuries. Whoever got an oblique injury in the 60s? Nobody. Anyway, let's look real quick. The American League, as we talked about in the East, we won't spend a lot of time on this because we've already talked kind of about it. The Rays, 9-1 in their last 10 games. They've got a half-game lead over the Red Sox. The Yankees, who have been playing really good baseball until recently, they lost the last couple to the Tigers. Some injury issues on both the Yankees and the Mets, which we'll talk about as well. Again, there's injuries everywhere, but we will concentrate a little bit on the Yankees and the Mets. And if anybody wants to chat Mickey about their deeper into the Seattle Mariners, we'll be glad to do that. We are going to go through the power rankings quickly, so that'll touch on some of that. The White Sox, who I still think have a chance to be the best team in baseball, despite some of the things that have gone on there injury-wise and manager-wise. And they've won 3 in a row again. They've taken a 3-game lead now in the Central over the Indians. The Twins are playing a bit better baseball, going 7-3 in their last 10, but they're still 10 games back. They really buried themselves early in the season here. And out west, we just talked about the Mets in the National League East. You know, the Mets have had a lot of injuries. Conforto's hurt. O'Neill's hurt. Alonso's hurt. DeGrom's been out. Walker's been out. Davis has been out. Bad news about Syndergaard. Shut down. I got a bad feeling you're not going to see Syndergaard all year, by the way. But they lead that National League East by 3.5 games over the Phillies and the Braves. But again, those teams are under 500. And the Mets, though, are 5 games over and won 4 in a row. So Luis Rojas is doing a great job there, I think. In the Central, the Cardinals continue to lead the Cubs by half a game, and the Cubs have really surprised the crap out of me. I'm telling you, 8-2 in their last 10, 4 in a row, or 6 in a row wins, 6 wins in a row. They were just a half a game out. They're 7 games over 500. And the Brewers have climbed back to 2 games over and only 3 games out. My favorite there. They've been very up and down. Injuries have hurt them. And also non-performance. Yelich, 1 home run so far, guys. 1 home run for Christian Yelich. The Pirates pull up the bottom of that division, obviously. Probably the best division in all of baseball right now, if it's not the American League East, is the National League West. The Padres are now in first place by 1.5 games over the Giants. They've won 2 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've got 34 wins. They've got the best record in baseball now. The Giants are right there, a game and a half behind. The Dodgers have kind of righted the ship until the last couple of games. They've lost to the Giants, their big rival. And but they continue to surprise. They're hanging in. The Giants continue to surprise me by hanging in. The Dodgers are only 2.5 games out, and they have won despite this. These last 2 games. Just before that, they'd won like 12 out of 13 to really kind of right the ship. And then you got the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. We're just looking. Or Diamondbacks. Now we talked about the Orioles. Diamondbacks have lost 13 in a row, and that team is going nowhere. Nowhere. Let's see. What else did I want to get into here with the Major League Baseball? Let's look quickly. I want to look quickly at the I'm going to go through ESPN's power rankings a little bit, right? And I'm going to make some comments. This week, the Padres are ranked number 1 with them. They're playing great, and they've only had Fernando Tatis part of the game. Wait till he really gets going. In playing hardly at all, he's got double-digit home runs. He's been an extra base machine, and he's starting to steal some bases as well. He stole 4 bases in the last 6 games. That pitching staff is tough. Blake Snell hasn't pitched well yet, but they've gotten really good performances from the rest of their staff. And I'm not going to disagree with this ranking right now that the Padres are the best team in baseball at the moment. I think the White Sox have a chance to be that team. And I'm going to put them in the second spot right now, where they have the Dodgers right now, the ESPN does, but I'm going to move the White Sox up to that second spot. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at the deadline, because as well as they're playing, their outfield has been decimated with injuries. And they've done a very good job. That's with Jimenez out, Roberts out. And they've done a good job to be mediocre in the outfield, but continue to win. Their pitching has been very, very, very good. But they have injuries again. I think Adam Eaton's been hurt a lot this year as well. So it's going to be a big question on what they do to try to shore up that outfield situation in Chicago. I would say the Dodgers, or probably the next team, and they too have overcome some serious injuries. Cody Bellinger played last night or this weekend for the first time in 2 months, which is a big boost to them. They've gotten a little boost from Albert Pujols, as I said, but I wouldn't expect that to last. They're going to be without Corey Seager for an extended period of time. But the starting pitching of Kershaw and Bauer and Buehler. Oh, sorry. Walker Buehler, who was my pick for the Cy Young, by the way, and Julio Urias. They've all been dominating, and what's kept the Dodgers alive is that starting pitching. ESPN has got the Rays third, and I'm going to have to agree. They continue, and they just traded their starting shortstop, Willie Adames, to the Brewers for right-hand pitcher Trevor Richards. I'm sorry, Trevor Richards went with Adames to Milwaukee for relievers Drew Rasmussen and a guy I cannot say his name, Friar Raisin. And the Rays called up Taylor Walls to replace Adames. Adames is a really good player. Good trade for both teams here, I think. But the Tampa Bay continues to trade their best players and continues to win and compete year after year. The model they put together, as much as I don't like Kevin Cash and some of his attitude, and I don't like their scripted games and the way he took Blake Snell out in the World Series, I still think cost the Rays that World Series last year. And also the way he crybabies about playing the Yankees and the way the Yankees pitch him inside. Come on. Shut up, Kevin. But I cannot argue with the success this team has had with less talent than anybody else, certainly in the division. Well, maybe not the Orioles, but they still play pretty well. So now I'm just going to go through their top 5. I'm not going to necessarily talk about my positions from here on out because I agree with number 5. They've got the Red Sox at 5, who I do not think will stay there. But up until now, they've played very well. They're 30-20. They've surprised. Their rotation has gotten some pretty good performances from the back end. And if Nathan Eovaldi and Rodriguez turn around their performances, this team is going to be tough. They've gotten better performances from the back end of the rotation than they have from the front. And they've got some offense that has surprised me a little bit. They do have some good players, obviously. Bogarts has been tremendous. If he keeps up his pace, he's going to be a candidate for the MVP award in the American League. And he's played very well. Yankees at 6, I don't know. I probably would put the Yankees, even being a Yankee fan, I probably would rank them lower based on their overall performance this year. They have gotten to 26-20, but I've got to put the Giants at least ahead of them, probably the A's. Maybe that's it, but I won't argue too much. But they're in trouble right now with Corey Kluber's injury, coming off his no-hitter. 2 months he's shut down at least. The same injury, same shoulder injury he struggled with the last few years. So not good news for the Yankees. They did have another injury yesterday, I believe, too. Bear with me a second here. See if I can find what happened here. Thought I saw something, but now I'm not finding it. All right, well, we'll touch on it later. Anyway, injuries for the Yankees. Aaron Hicks out for the year. The Yankees very, very, very short in the outfield depth department. Not good. Not good. Yankees, I'm concerned if the Yankees are going to stick to their salary cap mandate. I don't know if they're going to be able to even make the postseason. I said they would make the postseason and struggle there because I don't like the way the team's put together. But I think they got to make some moves here. They need some depth in the outfield. I mean, Tyler Wade is playing a significant time. Gardy cannot play every day or even 5 times a week in the outfield. Not at this point in his career. He couldn't do it. He would wear down when he was at the prime of his career. And Stanton can't play in the outfield, and he's an injury away. He's a swing away from an injury again. Guy gets hurt more playing DH than anybody I've ever seen. Played well before he got hurt, but the Yankees are going to have to make a move in the outfield for sure. And to me, at first base, Voigt's hurt. Voigt's going to continue to get hurt. He has an oblique injury every 15 minutes. Urshela's been banged up, but he didn't play yesterday, but he's kind of played through it and played well. But LeMahieu gets hot. Torres has started to hit the ball better. I'm not even going to talk about Castro. I think one thing the Yankees need to do is find a way to get Andujar in the lineup every day. Because when he plays every day, this guy's a line drive machine. He's going to hurt you defensively, but I think you got to find a way to get him in the lineup. Maybe in left field and moves Frazier to center. I'm not sure if Frazier can handle center field on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you stick him out there at first base and hope he can handle the position. Again, his problems at third base defensively were more throwing the ball than catching the ball. So I've got some confidence that he can handle first base. So let's hope the Yankees can figure it out. And pitching-wise, they're going to get Severino back midseason, but who knows what they're going to get there. Kluber's shut down for 2 months. I wouldn't be surprised if it's longer. They're going to need Debbie Garcia to pitch up. They're going to need Herman to keep pitching well. They're going to need Jordan to keep pitching well. And Talion to keep pitching well. Well, he's been up and down. He's pitched well at least the last time out. But he's got to go deeper into games too. And the bullpen's going to have to continue to pitch as well as they pitched. The Giants at 7, again, they're doing it with mirrors, man. They got an old team with some of their major contributors, Buster Posey, 34, Brandon Belt, 33, Brandon Crawford, 34, Longoria, 35. But they're all playing like they're in their prime. They're playing very well. Will that continue into the summer months as the grind gets more difficult? Hard to tell. I mean, Posey looks like an MVP candidate right now after he's sitting out last year. Maybe that helped get his legs fresh and whatnot. But he's played pretty well through the first, 30 plus games. And they've gotten some good pitching too, by the way, from some castoffs like Kevin Guzman and whatnot. Gaussman. The Astros, 27-22. They are very, very inconsistent. Again, there's a lot of teams that should have been good are very inconsistent this year, including the Astros. Gotten very up and down performances. And we'll see what happens with them. The A's got off to an awful start at 1-7, then went on a 13-game winning streak, and they've been kind of treading water since. But they're a team put together much like the Rays from a budget standpoint. And again, they played well. Bob Melvin's got to be one of the best managers in baseball. I think now, very quietly, he's become the longest tenured manager in baseball. And a great article, I think, in The Athletic here this past week about Bob Melvin. And I do suggest people read that. It's a great read if you're a baseball guy. The Blue Jays struggling along at 24-23. They lost Yates for the year or before the season even started. They have had some pretty good success from Ryu, starting pitcher. But the kids are killing them. Biggio's killing them. Vlad Guerrero's played pretty well, but Biggio and Bichette have not lived up to their hype so far and hurting them. The Cardinals at 27-22, maybe a bit of a surprise. Nolan Ariendo has cooled off a little bit since a hot start, and the question is still going to be how he performs with the majority of his games not being played in Coors Field anymore at a mile high. That atmosphere helping him. The Indians a bit of a surprise at 26-21. They did lose Reyes for 5 to 7 weeks with an oblique injury. Again, oblique injuries were not existent. I don't know if it's just maybe we called it something different in the 60s and 70s and the 80s. I don't know. Jose Ramirez has played pretty well there as well. And the pitching's been, kind of okay, except now they're getting some injuries. Place Curtis Thumb. Actually getting undressed in an angry fashion. He hurt his thumb. So more stupid injuries. The Cubbies, as I said, 26-22. These records could be a little bit dated since this came out. I don't think so. I think these are pretty close, but they've had a pretty solid month. And this could really change the trade deadline scenarios if the Cubs stay hot, because they got several guys like Bryant and Baez who are going to be big names in the midseason trade market. And if they continue to play well, they're not going to be on the block, most likely. The Braves continuing to struggle, trying to get to 500. Austin Riley is having a very good season, doing better than what he was projected. His average was projected to be, low average and some power. But he's hitting over 300, and he's got 9 home runs on the season. And I think he's playing very, very, very well. The pitching staff has been up and down, as has been the offense. And now they lost Marcelo Zuna for several months with an injury, broken fingers, I believe, and he was just arrested as well on an assault charge. So that's not going to help their situation. We got the Mets, who I probably should rank higher. I mean, the ESPN has them 15. I got to have the Mets in the top 10 probably, especially given what they've had to deal with the injuries. I mean, they look like a AAA lineup out there a lot of nights, but they're getting it done somehow, and they have to be happy that DeGrom's back and look good, giving up 1 run in 5 innings the other night. But the Syndergaard news is not good. As I said, he left after 1 inning of his rehab start at Single A, and he shut down for, I think, at least 6 weeks. But bad sign coming off Tommy John surgery. He had elbow soreness, and it's not a good sign. The up and down Brewers are next. Got gotten some pretty good performances, I think, from Corbin Burns and then some of their pitchers, but the offense has been very up and down. Yelich has been hurt, and when he's playing, he wasn't that productive. Colton Wong has been hurt. Travis Shaw is not a starting third baseman. They may need to make some more moves here. And trading for Willie Adames, I think, was a great move for this team to help maybe bolster that offense. The Marlins, and you know what? Again, speaking of teams that find a way to do it, Don Mattingly continues to do a great job with the Marlins. And where am I here? Excuse me, I had to check the time. The Marlins continue to do well. They're hovering around 500 with very little talent. You know, when you look at it on paper, but Donnie's getting the best out of these kids. And, you know, they found a kind of a gem in Cody Poteet, who's now 2-0 with a 1.06 ERA in his first couple major league starts. So we'll see what happens. Maybe a late bloomer for the Marlins. And you know what? Somebody gets hot, they can take control of that division. The Mets have been that team so far. But I don't know if their injuries in this lineup continues to play. I mean, remember something with the Mets. You know, Conforto's out for another month probably. I think McNeil's out for another month. I'm not sure how long Alonso's out for. So they got some. Dominic Smith's banged up. J.D. Davis is banged up. Just look at the lineup they put out there every day, and it's going to be tough for the Mets to compete unless they get great pitching. And I see DeGrom. You know, he might win another Cy Young with less than 10 wins. The Phillies come in next. You know, the Phillies, I'm not a big fan. You know what? They've got some talent on this team. I love Didi Gregorius. Bryce Harper just can't seem to get it together. He's banged up now. The pitching is not that good. You got to love Realmuto, I think. But I am not a Joe Girardi fan. Joe Girardi made up some story again about Bryce Harper and his injury and why he didn't play, but he was really hurt, trying to get a competitive advantage by thinking he'd be available as a pinch hitter the other night on Friday. You know, this is another reason that gambling in sports is not such a great thing, because these things, the little games that teams would play, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, you know, with legalized gambling predominant now, the things that teams would do to hide injuries and whatnot are not really okay, because it affects the outcomes of the games, which affects the way people wager. I don't care. I don't think wagering should have been legalized in sports. I just don't. You know, you had it legal in Vegas, but I just think you're opening up a door for a problem. Now we start to get in some of the worst teams. The Royals, again, got off to a good start, but now they're struggling. They may start to play better with the return of Mondesi, their shortstop. He did hit a pair of loud doubles as he made his season debut here the other night. The Washington Nationals continue to kind of struggle along. Juan Soto and Max Scherzer are kind of the two bright spots on that team. The Cincinnati Reds, we talked about, after getting off to a great start, they've slid to 4 games below 500. Not a lot to talk about there. I mean, it's amazing to me that Castillo is as bad as he is. The Yankees were hot and heavy for him, and I was all for trading for him. I thought he was a real deal, and maybe it's just a rough patch, but 1-8 with a 7 earned run average as we hit Memorial Day, not a good sign. The Twins, who I had picked to win the Central, 20-29, bad start. They've been without Buxton. They've been without some of their best hitters. They are starting to get some production from some unlikely sources like Rob Refsnyder, who's a journeyman utility guy, and now he's kind of hitting like a combination of Killebrew and Carew, as the ESPN had said. So getting it from some surprising sources. The Rangers, 22-29. You know, again, not much to talk about with the Rangers. We'll talk about the Mariners a little bit, because Mickey's with us today, and I know he's a Mariners fan. They had a 6-game losing streak recently. against the Tigers and the Padres, which they snapped and now have won 3 in a row. And they're looking to get the sweep and get back to 500. Taylor Trammell has started to hit the ball very, very well for them. A kid who was very highly touted when he was with the San Diego system, I believe, is where he came up with. And they also had brought up, as we know, Jared Kelenic to play left field. But there's not really a spot for him to play every day in the majors, so I don't know how long he's going to stay up, unless maybe the Rangers decide to trade somebody like Mitch Haniger, who's played pretty well up until now. So the Mariners have got some talent, both at the major league level, even though they're talking about potentially trading Seager. Brewers were mentioned heavily in that regard because they need a third baseman because they don't have one. But they've got some talent at the major league level and a bunch of it at the minor league level. And I think they're a year away yet from competing. But I think the Mariners, Mickey, are the team to be reckoned with as we move into the coming seasons. Maybe not this year, but it's coming. The Los Angeles Angels, one of the bigger disappointments. Again, I picked them to make the playoffs, but Mike Trout is hurt again. Anthony Rendon is just a shell, I think, of the player that he was. And we all know about Luis Pujols, and the pitching has just not – it's been okay. But they just are not getting the contributions they expected from some major players. The one guy, Shatoni, is the one guy who's really been all over hitting the ball. He'll probably be an MVP candidate unless the Angels continue and lose 100 games or something. He probably won't win, but he's been phenomenal. And they need to stop pitching him. They need to hit him. He's too good a hitter to put out there, and he's not that good a pitcher. He throws 100 miles an hour, but he doesn't have the command that you need to have to be an ace. The Diamondbacks that we talked about, they lost 13 in a row. They got Keatley Marte back, but he's going to be a trade candidate. Now, again, another guy the Yankees I hope will look at, along with Delino Shields Jr., who's in the minor leagues for Texas. I would say Marte would be a guy the Yankees should be looking at, as well as the Marlins Starling Marte. I think those are guys they should be looking at. And the Diamondbacks likely will be in trade mode here very soon, as will the Rockies. The Rockies are just getting worse and worse. Charlie Blackmon is a shell of the player that he was. Trevor Story has not had a great season. He's had some ups and downs. I think his numbers will be fine, but now he's out with an injury for a while. So the Rockies, again, going nowhere. The Orioles, we know how bad the Orioles are. They got some guys that can play. Cedric Mullins has been a bit of a surprise and will probably be a trade candidate for at the trade deadline. Obviously, Mancini's played well, and he's also a great story, as we know. And John Means has pitched really well. He pitched a no-hitter, and outside of that, he's pitched as well as anybody in the American League, I think, not named Garrett Cole, and could be a Cy Young candidate. Who knows? The Pirates are the Pirates. They've had a bad week leading up until the weekend. They had a 20-1 loss to the Braves, and their ERA for the week was about 10. And, of course, the Tigers, Matthew Boyd is okay. And he's cooled off a bit after a good start, but they got him, they got Michael Fulmer, they've got a fading Miguel Cabrera. I just don't see a lot of other talent on this team, and his team is heading. I think we might have four teams, maybe 5, heading for 100 losses this year. Not good. Not good, guys. Some of the bigger surprises, I'm not going to get into some of the bigger surprises. I don't know. I guess we can talk about it. Some of the bigger surprises in baseball as far as batting average. Jesse Winkler, 359. Nick Castellanos. Both are the Reds, by the way, who have been playing terribly. He's hitting 355. Mercedes for the White Sox, who's had a little bit of controversy, is hitting 340. Don't see any of these guys continuing that pace, obviously. some guys that have struggled. We know about Lindor hitting under 200 for the Mets. I don't see that continuing. There's my dad. Good morning, Bob Engel, by the way. Thanks for joining us this morning. Eugenio Suarez also for the Reds hitting under 150. You wonder why the Reds are doing badly. Home run leaders. Some big surprise names here, right? Adolis Garcia for the Rangers. Would not have picked him before the season. Ohtani, yes. Ryan McMahon for the Rockies, who for years has not reached his potential. It's a guy that I thought was really going to be a great player. Maybe he's turning into that player now. He's got 13 home runs. We'll see if he can keep that up. And the aforementioned Mitch Haniger for the Mariners has 13 home runs. And what's interesting is some of these guys are not that young. Some of these guys who are hitting are surprise starters are, they're in their mid to late 20s. They've been around a while. What else? Surprise strugglers in the home run department. Christian Yelich, who has been hurt, but even when he's played, has not shown much power, only one home run. And then Keston Hiura for the Dodgers. I'm sorry, for the Brewers with just one home run. Anybody in the RBIs? Look in the RBIs. Orioles, Trey Mancini. Somebody's got to drive in runs, right? Trey Mancini, again, a great story, recovering from cancer. He's leading the league with 42 RBIs. And Jared Walsh for the Angels has been a good surprise for them with 37. Bryce Harper continues his struggles with the Phillies with only 13 RBIs. And Joe Girardi has just got that team wired too tight. As we said before, not a Girardi fan. I don't like the way he treats some of his players. Segura last week made 2 errors in 2 games, and both games he had a little issue with Girardi. So some prize pitching performances. Carlos Rendon with a no-hitter and a 1.29 ERA. He's the 5th starter for the White Sox. You want to know how good their starters are. Guzman for the Giants, as we mentioned before, at 1.53. I don't think those guys will keep those paces going, but they will have really good years. And then, of course, on the bad side, you've got Castillo, we mentioned, at 7.61, awful. And Dylan Bundy for the Angels at 6.5, very bad. And that's about it. We'll talk about there. Anything else I want to talk about? We talked about Ozuna's issues, Story, Bellinger, the Twins. Donaldson for the Twins is out for a bit. He's hurt. Pirates we talked about. And then look at the injury epidemic in the major leagues. I don't know what the answer is, but something needs to change, right? We talked a bit about the Yankees and the Mets. I think we've covered pretty much what I want to cover there. If there's anything else anybody else wants to chat about, please bring it up, and we will continue to move on if not. Sorry, guys. Listen, guys, by the way, great meal last night I had, and some awesome oatmeal stout at Druthers Brewing Company. We're working on Druthers to be a sponsor of this show. I do a lot of promos from there. I'd love to do some live shows from there. I'll be talking with them this week, and I'm hoping to make something happen there. I had my first Impossible Burger last night, which is, basically a vegan burger, which I'm not a vegan by any stretch of the imagination, but I have been trying to eat a little better. And when I go out and I still want to have a couple beers, I look for something a little healthier to eat, and I decided to try an Impossible Burger for the first time. So I had the Druthers Burger with the Impossible Burger replacing the beef. Awesome. It was awesome. Anyway, that's the story. Let's move to the NBA. Playoffs in full swing. Let's start with Friday night. Because the Knicks and Nets both played. The Knicks lose Game 3, pivotal Game 3. Oh, what do we got here? Hold on. What do we got here? Rick Sherlock. Before we get in, I tried watching. Wow, that's a lot, Rick. tried watching basketball for the first time in a long time due to reasons we don't talk about on the show, and it was painful. Yeah, we don't talk about the reasons. You blocked out my whole face. Just like the rants on basics on basketball, the Knicks don't pass the ball, move well out the ball. Well, I got to tell you, Rick, hold on, and I'll get back to that. The Heat just run and gun and show no defense. Not the game I grew up watching. The Nets move the ball well for a team that hasn't played much together. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Overall, you're probably right. The Knicks, if you watch the Knicks Friday night, do not go by what you saw Friday night. This team does move the basketball. This team plays good defense. This team is stuck in a rut right now, and the Hawks have found a way to stop Julius Randle, or Julius Randle's find a way to stop himself. And it's really hurt the Knicks, and it's caused some of the things that I think you see where right now Julius Randle looks a little more like Carmelo Anthony than Julius Randle. Black hole where the ball goes. He needs to pass the ball. He's also done that very well. To, again, defend the Knicks. I'm not going to rip the Knicks. If Knicks could lose this series, this season has still been very, very successful. Very successful. They finished 7 games over 500. They finished 4th in the East when most of the experts picked them to win 19 or 20 games. They won 41. And because Thibodeau came in there and changed the entire culture for where it isn't what Rick is talking about. I'm not saying the NBA doesn't have some problems, but please don't judge the Knicks by Friday night's performance in its loss to the Hawks. They were doomed with a horrible second quarter. They're doomed by some horrible shooting from Randle, who's only shooting, believe it or not, 24% in the first 3 games of the series. Horrible performance. Now, to his credit, he's still playing. He's still going to the boards. He's still getting some. Sorry, I got distracted by a comment from Mickey there. We'll come back to that after Mickey if we can. It's just the Knicks right now can't afford to have Julius Randle playing the way he is, or Barrett playing the way that he is, quite frankly. I mean, if I want to look at, if I want to look at the Knicks, and hold on, let me go real quick to the Knicks stats for this series. Rose is carrying them. Rose is averaging, close to 25 points a game. They finally benched Alfred Payton because he's been horrible. He didn't play. He was a coach's decision, did not play the other night. And Burks was playing well until yesterday. The problem with benching Payton is Thibodeau likes Rose coming off the bench. He likes Burks coming off the bench. And a bigger problem for the Knicks, and RJ Barrett, by the way, is not playing well either. I mean, he averaged 19 points, I think, for the season. In the regular season, he's down to 11, and he's not shooting the ball well. Now, he is still rebounding. He's still doing some other things well. I still think the Knicks can go back and win this series, but I would ask it that, and again, Rick, your opinions on the game not being the same. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. But there are a lot of teams that do move the basketball. Again, I talked about on this show when the Warriors were in their best mode, right? For those 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it was, with the Splash Brothers. The end result was open three-point shots more often than not, but they did move the basketball. I'll be honest with you, they played like the 70 Knicks, except the result of moving the basketball was different because you're trying to get that open three-pointer. So that's the way the game's played today. But there's still ball movement with some teams. The Knicks the other night, no, terrible. The Knicks are down 2-1 in this series. Lucky to be down 2-1. They did come back from a deficit in game 2. Part of that was due to the Hawks just going ice cold. Randall did play a good second half. Derrick Rose has been a godsend, but they're better with him coming off the bench. That's the problem that the Knicks have right now. Also, the Knicks, and again, I get clamoring from Knicks fans. We'll talk about this too, Rick. I get clamoring from Knicks fans that Thibodeau doesn't go deep enough into his bench. Well, he had 10 guys averaging 20 points a game in the regular season. And he still got, and everybody shortens their bench in the playoffs, right? But he still got 8 guys averaging over 20 minutes. The problem is the bench is not playing well. Burks, who got off to a good start the first couple of games, was horrible Friday night. Bullock hasn't played as well as he played in the regular season. Quickly hasn't played as well as he played in the regular season. Toppin's been okay in some very short minutes, only 12 minutes a game. Ty Gibson has played very well, and Rick mentions it. And in fact, Ty Gibson got much more, has been getting much more minutes played here the last few games. In fact, let me just go to the box score here from the other night, and I'll give you Ty Gibson's numbers. He started the second half. He finally benched Noel. He started and Peyton in the second half against the Hawks in game 2, and the Knicks came back and won. And Gibson played very well. So he benched Noel, he benched Peyton, and he started Rose, and he started Gibson. So I think that was very well done. Now, this last game, Gibson actually gets the start, gets 26 minutes, doesn't score much, but that's not what they're looking for him. But he played well on defense, and he blocked a couple of shots, and he did some rebounding. That's all they want from their center. But the bench was just horrible. I mean, Noel played actually well off the bench, scored 12 points, 10 of them from the free throw line, and he had 8 rebounds. So the center position between Noel and Gibson, I think, is well manned for what the Knicks tried to do there. The problem is, the bench the other night was horrendous. Burks in 23 minutes shot 2 for 8. Quickly shot 2 for 8 in 15 minutes. Barrett, starting, 2 for 9. Just shooting's terrible. And Randall, 2 for 15. Knicks can't win like that. They can't win like that. The reason that they've done well up until this point has been the fact, again, kind of counter to Rick's comments about not moving the basketball, is that they played that brand of basketball. Again, if they're going to turn it around, Rick, watch the game tonight. Or this afternoon. I think it's on at 1:00. A huge game for the Knicks. I mean, they're getting back home no matter what. But it's a huge game for the Knicks. Because it's going to be tough if they go back down 3-1, because they're only going to get one game in the Garden, and they go back to Atlanta. I don't really care for this 2-2-1-1-1 schedule in the NBA playoffs. I prefer 2-3-2s. And I'd have much more confidence, because the Knicks would have to win one game in Atlanta, then they can go home and need to win 2 games. But I just don't like the travel schedule. I don't like, and I also don't like right now the Knicks are not playing the way they played in the regular season. And look at Carlos isn't here this morning, at least not yet, and this reflects badly on Thibodeau as well. But again, they can lose this series, and this season is still a success. They're way ahead of where they should have been this year. And, some of your other points, Rick, I really get that. And that's his last comment. So Kenny's not here. It's a good thing, I guess, Kenny's not here this morning. Oh, Kenny's okay up on the mountain. And Billy's not here. Got a lot of regulars. Must be Memorial Day weekend. I hope they're not camping, because they're going to be miserable, man. So anyway, that's the Knicks. I think they'll be okay. Rick did talk about the Nets, which we'll go to next on Friday night. The Nets actually lost to the Celtics 125-119. They are now ahead 2-1 in that series. One more game in Boston. I don't think there's any chance the Nets lose this series. They are playing much better together. As Rick mentioned, and I've mentioned a few times, my concern was the fact that the big three, Harden, Durant, who I think is the best player in basketball, he's healthy, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. Good grief. They've only played 200 minutes together the whole season before the playoffs started. So I thought it'd be a problem, but it has not been. And I really thought, I think it benefits the Nets. Loom were to go 6. It's better for the Nets because these guys get more time to get adapted to one another and learn each other's tendencies. And if this were to be a 4-game sweep, I think it would be bad for the Nets. Now, of course, you don't want to put yourself in jeopardy of losing. And in this game, by the way, James Harden, who has not been trying to score points, he came here and he's done what he said he would do. He's going to be a distributor and he was going to stop monopolizing the ball, and he has. I think the Nets moved the ball very well, as Rick kind of alluded to. But Harden did score 41 points in this game. He was really good. 10 assists, 7 rebounds. But the Celtics crawl back into the series, I guess, 125-119. And also Friday night, you had the Clippers getting back into their series. Nobody's won a game at home in this series. It's 2-1 Mavericks. The Mavericks won the first 2 games in L.A., and then you see what happened. The Clippers go to Dallas and win. So who the heck can figure out what's going on in that series? And in yesterday's games, we had the Bucks wrap up their series. They win 4-0 over the Heat. The Heat got some major problems. Rick mentioned how discombobulated they are. Look at this team is going to undergo some major changes probably in the offseason. This is a team that got to the finals last year just because they got on a good run in the bubble. But the Bucks are a really good team, but I don't think the Heat should be losing 4-0 to the Bucks. They got a good coach. Eric Spoelstra is a really good coach. I think they need to make some drastic roster changes. I don't think Oladipo's going to be there. I don't think they're going to re-sign him after his injury. But anyway, that series is over. That's the first series to end, by the way. The Trailblazers beat the Nuggets by 20 at home. That series is tied at 2. Malone, the coach for the Nuggets, actually called out his team for playing so soft the other night. Even the Blazers were saying how soft the Nuggets played. This is playoff basketball, guys. You cannot come out, not give your best effort, and not get physical with some of these teams. That series is tied at 2-2. And again, it looked like a 7-game series to me from the outset. And probably going to be a 7-game series. The Sixers go up 3-0 on the Wizards. I thought the Wizards might steal a game here from the 76ers. Not going to happen. You know, they won by 29 here yesterday. The Jazz take a 2-1 lead on the Grizzlies after losing their opening game. They won the last 2, 121-111. Ja Morant continues to play very well for the Grizzlies in a losing cause. And guys, before I go on, again, I got to touch on what I did my vlog on the other day. The NBA's got to do a better job with controlling some of these fans. There's no game where the fans are closer to the players and the action than the NBA. And these problems happen in other sports, don't get me wrong. But there's been a plethora of issues this last week, the first round of the playoffs in the NBA. We had a guy throwing popcorn at Russell Westbrook. We had a guy spit in the face of Trae Young at Madison Square Garden. We had Ja Morant's parents having racial slurs hurled at them by 3 Jazz fans. The social breakdown in this country is ridiculously bad, and in sports it's magnified, and you can't allow it. And the teams are doing a good job because they've banned these guys. At least the offender in Madison Square Garden, the offender in Utah, the offenders in Utah have been banned for life from the stadiums. the arenas. Good start. I would name shame them as well. Plaster their names all over the news, and maybe they lose their jobs. I don't care. If you want to go out in public and act like an ass, like you've never been out in public before, then I'm sorry, you lose your job. Then act like a human being. And again, I talked in my vlog the other day about this is sports magnifies it, but it's everywhere in life. We see this. It's on the street where some guy cuts you off and gives you the finger because you're not going 70 miles an hour and he needs to get to work in 5 minutes and he goes nowhere except right in front of you. Guys, it happens in the grocery store. It happens at DMV. It happens everywhere. And it's worse right now, it seems, and maybe it only seems worse because we haven't been out in a year and a half. Or maybe we've forgotten our social skills entirely in the last year and a half. Now, again, these issues aren't new. But if you can't act like a human being and you don't have a right, as I said in my vlog, and please watch it. It's not very long. Actually, it was one of my shorter ones because I wore myself out. I was so worked up, I think. If you can't act like a human being, then stay home. Watch the games on TV. Who's stupid enough to wait, 2 years almost to finally get to a Knick game and pay a gazillion dollars for a courtside seat and then get it taken away from you? And don't tell me, well, and I hear this from fans. Well, these guys make money and they should be able to put up with that kind of abuse. Baloney. Because you pay, and again, I sit here and I rip guys all the time. Very few do I get personal with. I mean, maybe Kyrie Irving and his belief that the world is flat. It's crazy. But I'm not hurling racial slurs at people. Never would. No respect for people that do. You don't get to do that because they make millions and millions of dollars and you paid a bunch of money for your seat. Maybe because they're making millions and millions of dollars. It's still not okay for you to go out and treat people like less than a human being, them or their family. I swore I wasn't going to get all worked up about this again today after Friday's vlog, but guys, go out and act like human beings. Cheer for your team. Boo the other team. It's okay. You can boo your team. But do it in a civilized manner. Not like you're a pack of frickin' wolves. Sorry, I don't mean to demean wolves, Facebook. Please don't take me down because I demeaned wolves. Oh, gosh. Let's look at the games today. Today, we got some big games, guys. Hawks and Knicks. I will be all over this game at 1 o'clock. Rick, give him another shot. Coach Thibodeau's a great coach. He has turned them into a team. If it falls apart in this series, then it's on him, yes, but it's been a great season. But I want to see this game get back to the Garden 2-2, and I think the Knicks will be in good shape. Lakers and Suns. That series is 2-1 Suns. Oh, sorry, 2-1 Lakers. Big surprise. I thought the Lakers would go out in game one. Again, similar problems to the Nets. Guys not playing together. Injuries to LeBron and injuries to Davis. But right now they're up 2-1 on the Suns, and they've got the home court advantage now. Especially if they win today, they're going to be in great shape. The Celtics and Nets will play game 4. Again, the Nets lead that series 2-1. And then the Mavericks tonight will play the Clippers in an important game for the Mavericks. Can't lose another game after winning 2 games at the Clippers. You cannot come home and lose 2 games. What's Rick got here? Oh, sorry, I got the wrong mouse. Got too many mice going on here. Will do. Hopefully I watched an anomaly. I hope you did too, Rick, because I get, your point's not wrong. They did not play good basketball, and they played exactly the way you said they played. And if they play that way tonight, they're going to go home down 3-1. Or today. I think 1 o'clock that game is today. Nothing else to do. It's raining already. I'm glad I got my lawn fertilized before the show. Oh, guys. Oh, gosh. Anyway, what else in the NBA? I cannot let the show pass without, and it's sad when these things happen. But I want to recognize the passing of Utah Jazz center Mark Eaton, who was a shot blocking machine back in the day. Not much of a scorer, but a good rebounder and shot blocker. He died after a bicycle accident yesterday at the age of 64. Eaton played quite a while in the NBA. I was trying to find his numbers here. He led the blocks, and he led the league in blocks 4 times. He never averaged a lot of points, but he was a key member of some pretty good Jazz teams back in the 80s. And, it's always sad. 64 years old, man. It's not old. And rest in peace, Mark Eaton, and our thoughts are out there with your family today. All right. On a happier note, let's move to the NHL quick. I want to look at the scoreboard again from Friday and Saturday. All these first round series have now wrapped up except one. On Friday, the Golden Knights wrapped up their series 4-3 over the Wild. The Wild had come back to force a Game 7, but the Golden Knights handily beat them 6-2 on Friday night. Yannick with 3 goals, so he had a hat trick actually for Vegas, which contributed greatly, obviously, to that win. Do I have the right day? Hold on. I got a feeling I got the wrong day up here. No, Friday, May 28th. Yesterday. Now I got the wrong date. How the heck did I get back there? Bear with me. Got to get the last night's scoreboard. There we go. Yesterday, the Canadiens beat the Maple Leafs 3-2. Tavares back for the Leafs, but not helping them. They lose 3-2 in overtime to the Canadiens. That series goes to a Game 7, which I think will be Monday. We'll check that out in a second. The only series still going is the Bruins won 5-2. That's a Game 1, actually. The Bruins 5-2 over the Islanders. The Islanders had a big win in round 1, by the way. So going into the second round, we're going to look quickly at these previews, okay? We'll see how I did. We got the Bruins playing the Islanders. I did not pick the Islanders to beat the Penguins. I thought the Penguins would win that series handily. And the Islanders, who we got here? Oh, got a couple of comments. Let me go back here before I got a couple of things I missed here. Bill Pulver's here. Good morning, Bill Pulver. Talking about Mark Eaton. Let's back up a second. Mark Eaton, 7'4", yes. Played 11 years for the Jazz. As Rick said, I did not mean to interrupt your guys. And yes, we're going to get into the Jets really in a couple of minutes, Billy. So thank you for coming in today. Hopefully you weren't getting yourself liquored up before you showed up to the show. Just kidding. Guys, should we go to BJ's or Druthers? What do you think? I like both. I was at Druthers last night, and I love Druthers. They're much more relaxed, too, with the masks and stuff. So anyway, we'll talk about it in a second. So the series in round 2, we have one series to wrap up. Obviously, Canadians and the Maple Leafs. I think the Leafs will win that game 7. The Islanders and the Bruins series. The Islanders won this season series, the regular season series, 5-3. There's a lot of advantages here, I think, for not for the Bruins and goaltending and probably their first lines, but other than that, they match up pretty evenly. And I think the advantage coaching-wise goes to Barry Trotz for the Islanders. And the Islanders have been hot. Now, they finished the regular season very, very down. Billy votes for BJ's. Yeah, I'm voting for BJ's. It's closer for everybody. It's more centralized for some of the guys coming from out west too. So, Frank Gifford. Where's yeah, I know you meant Winnipeg. Where's Frank Gifford? Don't know where Kenny is today. I was mentioning, I hope everything's okay on the mountain. Maybe it's snowed. He could be, for all I know, he's battling a foot of snow up there on Walton's Mountain. Back to the Islanders and Bruins series. Look, I see the Bruins, probably giving the Islanders a tougher time, and they did win Game 1, by the way, as I just mentioned, 5-3, I think was the score. I'm gonna pick the Islanders to win this in 7 games. I think the Islanders have gotten their mojo back here in the playoffs. They've been very up and down. They finished the regular season badly, but I think they're going to get it together going into the second round here. Sorry, in the Central Division, we got the Hurricanes against the Lightning, the defending champion Lightning. Regular season was 4-4. Carolina had a pretty easy first round matchup. As far as their matchups, I mean, as far as the first line, I think they're pretty even. The forward, I would give forwards. I would give an advantage to Tampa, and the all important goaltending is what wins these playoff series. A lot of times, you get a hot goaltender, and I think it can make a big difference. And I think that's I never can say these guys' names, so I apologize. Vasilevsky, for lack of a better term, for the Lightning has been playing very well. Coaching is probably about even here. I'm going to have to stick with the defending champions. I think they have an advantage on a power play, and I think they'll win this series. Again, I'm looking at a 7-game series here. Rick Scott. Yeah, I will bring Jim Beringer back. To be honest with you, I want to have Jim on today, and I didn't get a chance to reach out to him, so I apologize, guys. I really wanted to do it before we started round 2. So that's my bad. But we'll be in the middle of these series, and we'll be getting ready to go to the semifinals after that. So we'll get Jim Beringer in here next week to talk about where we're at so far. Out west, the Avs and the Golden Knights, I think the 2 best teams in the league, although the Jets, as Billy said, are playing really good hockey. And not surprisingly, to be honest with you, they were playing very well towards the end of the regular season. But the Avs and the Golden Knights, I think, is a series to watch here. And it's possible that the final champion comes out of this series. They were even again in the regular season, 4-4. I think, again, as far as the things that we talk about, goaltending, Vegas is going to have an advantage here as Marc-Andre Fleury has taken over this team again, and he's been very, very, very good. He was the regular season MVP, and he has just been tremendous. I mean, he's only averaging 1.7 goals against in 7 games against Minnesota. In the 7 games against Minnesota, sorry. And big advantage for Vegas there. Coaching, I think Vegas gets the advantage there as well. And again, to me, power plays are the other thing that really, really make a difference in these playoff games. And I think Colorado has an advantage there. I'm going to take the Avalanche in 6 games here, as well as Fleury's playing. I think they will have quite an advantage here for myself. And then you're going to get the Jets, and who are you going to get here? The Jets. You're going to get the Jets against either the Leafs or the Canadiens. Again, I think the Maple Leafs are going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Canadiens win. And I think I took the Jets in an upset in round 1, and I'm going to take the Jets to upset either the Leafs or the Canadiens in round 2 to stick with Billy Pulver. I very rarely agree with Billy Pulver, don't I, Bill? Or do I? I don't think I do, but you can tell me. So some interesting stuff going on there. And again, you get into the second round. It's different this year because of the COVID setup with the league, with the North and all the Canadian teams only playing the Canadian teams, only the East teams playing the East teams, until we get past this next round of the playoffs, and these teams will have played each other for the first time all year. Much different than any other hockey season that we've looked at. We always agree we do. Oh. I must be sleeping during those times. Or maybe it's my lack of prevision. Sorry, guys. I got a new chair. I'm trying to get comfy. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting getting into the third round. We'll talk to that's one thing I want to get Jim Beringer on back in on. And next week will probably be a good time, as these series will be deep into them. And we'll get some deep analysis on the series that we're watching so far, and then we'll talk a little bit about what it's going to be like for these teams now as they start to play outside of their divisions, which has not happened the entire season. So it's going to be very interesting. These Canadian teams, especially now, it's going to be interesting to see whether they can travel, whether they can play at home, whether they're going to have to play in Buffalo or what's going to happen. We still don't know for sure what's going to happen in that stage of the playoffs. But again, we're still 10 days or 2 weeks away from that. So a couple other notes in hockey. Wayne Gretzky's card. Wayne Gretzky, by the way, who's going to start working for TNT next year, or Turner Broadcasting. I'm not sure which entity is going to be airing hockey. As part of the new TV contract, they're going to have games. Dwayne Gretzky's going to be a studio analyst. We'll see how he does. The big names don't always do well in these roles. If you remember Joe Montana, Joe Namath, guys don't always do well in these roles. We'll see how Gretzky does. His card, one of his, I think his rookie card, sold for $3.7 million the other day. It's amazing what people will pay for some of this memorabilia. Rick, you collect a lot of memorabilia, and I mean, I think I see value in it from a sentimental reason. But gosh, $3 million for a card? I just don't get it. I never have gotten that. And also the U.S. beat Latvia in the World Championships yesterday, which is very good for the U.S. International hopes that they were able to do that. So great job by the U.S. Congratulations to that team as well. Also, by the way, we were talking about fan behavior, and it's not just excluded to the NBA. This also happens in the NHL. We had an ugly incident this past week. I'm trying to find the story here. Now I can't find it. But Nathan Baer, who plays for, damn it. Oh gosh. He might play for Winnipeg. Or this might have happened in Winnipeg. I cannot remember now. I'm trying to find the story here. Anyway, he's having racial slurs hurled at him. He's a member of the First Nation in Canada, which we would call Native Americans here. And again, just more bad fan behavior. I mean, I don't understand. Here I am backing up again. Now I can't find the story. Damn it. Let me check here. Hold on. I know I got the teams wrong, and I don't want to say this incorrectly. Damn it, I don't have it here. And I lost it, and I can't read my own damn writing. Anyway, more racial slurs hurled at a player over his ethnicity. Come on, guys. Again, I'm going back to my vlog from the other day. The NHL playoffs this year will be the longest probably of any sport. Let me just finish up on Nathan Bear. Guys, enough with the racial slurs, enough with throwing food at players, enough spitting at players. Stay home if you don't know how to act in public. Backing up to that again. The NHL playoffs are probably the longest in history this year, May 11th to July 15th. I would think, yes, Billy. Without looking that up, I'm going to say it's damn close. The playoffs in the NHL and the NBA are always long. It's almost like a half a season, depending on how long the series go. I mean, it can be another 40 games, or, well, I guess not 40 games, but 30-some games, a third of a season, half of a season almost in this season. But again, it's hard. I don't need to know if they need to play 82 games in the regular season in basketball and in a normal season and in hockey, and then go play 30 games, 35 games in the playoffs. They don't do that while they're getting closer to it in baseball, but they're fun. I'm going to move on to football if you guys got nothing else for hockey. And once we cover football, you guys see where we at? 10, almost 10:30, 10:26. We'll do some football. I got a few things I want to talk about here. Nothing too in depth, I think. I may look at, I think we'll look at some of the most improved teams after the draft and after after the free agency and whatnot. But if you guys have some things you want to chat about, I'll be more than happy. A couple things I want to chat about, though, to start with. The Atlanta Falcons and Julio Jones. Oh, hold on. Rick's got a comment up here that I can't seem to get to. I've been to BJ several times, never the druthers. I'm good with anywhere. Oh, I can't hope my delay's not that long. Now we'll probably go to BJ's. I think it's closer for you guys. Because I don't know about the druthers in Schenectady. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to have a call with druthers this week about doing some advertising, hopefully. So that could have a bearing on where we go. But I'll start trying to put together something so that we can have a quick conversation about where we plan on going. So anyway, back to the NFL. Julio Jones and the Falcons are going to be parting ways. Why the team and Arthur Blank were so upset with Julio Jones for going on Fox with Stephen A. Smith and I think it was Stephen A. Smith. I can't remember who he was talking to. I think it was Stephen A. But why? And announcing I'm out of there. Why that was a big deal, and the team thinks it hamstrings them in their dealings. I don't understand, because they made it clear for a month now that Julio Jones is getting moved, and now they're claiming that they've got a first-round draft pick lined up for him. Now, I love Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones is a great talent. Julio Jones doesn't play more than 8 games a year now. And if somebody's got a first-round draft pick lined up for them, then they need to grab it pretty quick. And I can't believe anybody's going to give him a first-round draft pick. Patriots have been mentioned as one of these teams, and I can see them making a conditional trade for Julio Jones, where you give up a third-rounder, and maybe it becomes a second-rounder if he plays X amount of games. But for teams to give up a first-rounder for this guy who is one of the great talents and has been one of the great talents and a good teammate from all reports, not a problem player. I don't know how they think they're going to get a first-round draft. Plus, they have to move him for salary cap reasons. They have no choice. So there's going to be several teams that are going to be interested in him. The Patriots are one. And again, the Patriots do it because Patriots have made a lot of improvements, obviously, this year. And a lot of it is towards controlling the middle of the field. And I think I've talked about on this show, I mean, with the tight ends, with the running game, with everything that they've done, it's all to kind of go back to their core strength, which is always controlling the middle of the football field. That's what they did best when they were winning. And that's what they plan on getting back to. Now, that doesn't mean they can't use somebody to open up that middle of the field by being able to control the outside of the field. Now, you can't. I can't, Rick, agree with your comment. You can't lump Julio Jones and the whiner into the same conversation. Julio Jones didn't ask out of Atlanta. Julio Jones said he's out of there because the team's been talking about trading him for 6 weeks now for salary cap reasons, so they can sign Fields and they can sign their other draft picks. They don't have money to stay under the cap and do it. So Julio Jones simply was saying, I'm out of here. They're going to trade me. Julio Jones has no control. He's not asking to get traded to any one team. I think he'd like to go play for winner. What's Mickey got here? No kids? I think I know what Mickey's talking about there. But Rick, I don't think I would. I don't think I'd lump those two situations together. Julio Jones to me is a yes, he requested a trade from the beginning of the offseason, but the team also made a trade. They had to trade him, and he hasn't. I don't think the two things are related, to be honest with you. Besides that, Julio Jones' career mostly has been wasted on pretty mediocre football teams, except for one that blew a huge lead in the Super Bowl to a team we'll leave unnamed. And I'll let you guys figure out what team I'm talking about. I don't really know who that game they were ahead 28-3 was against, but I don't know. You guys might be able to figure it out. Anyway, I think Julio Jones would fit a couple of teams, including the Patriots, but he's not going to be getting, they're not going to be getting second or third round draft, or I'm sorry, first or second round draft picks unless they're conditional. Never be a conditional first rounder. I don't know that he's played more than 8 games in the last couple of years. Again, one of the great athletes, one of the great wide receivers to me in the game. I love Julio Jones. And I wouldn't lump him in with the whiner. And don't get me going on him. Oh, my God. Carlos, where you been, buddy? Too expensive. Well, again, he's going to have to restructure his contract. If he wants to go to – I can tell you how things work on my team. Number one, there's going to be a trade for a conditional draft pick. It's going to be this. Could be a 4th rounder. And you're only going to get a 2nd or a 3rd rounder if he plays X amount of games or plays efficiently. And Julio Jones is going to have to restructure his contract. So he's going to have to be willing to do that. Jones would be a good fit in Washington. One of the teams that I think is going to make a bigger jump, by the way. I think this coming season. So Julio Jones, again, that's staying up in the air. And again, I just can't. I can't. Yeah, I really can't lump the two things together myself, though. Right. So we'll see what happens. In other Patriot news, by all indications, and again, I'm not putting a lot of stock, so don't take me wrong. I don't put a lot of stock in these voluntary OTAs and these 7-on-7 drills. And, quarterbacks look good, and this guy looked good, and this wide receiver looked great because he caught all the balls and blah, blah, blah. There's nobody rushing the quarterbacks. But 2 people stand out. Zach Wilson and Mac Jones both have had very good first initiations into their NFL teams. They've done the right things. They've said the right things. They've impressed coaches with the way they carry themselves. And especially Mac Jones, Got a lot of love from the veterans and the coaches, about his energy level and his swagger. And we'll see if that means anything, because unless he can play, none of that matters. Again, the Patriots players and coaches were enamored with Cam Newton and his dude and blah, blah, blah. Can't play. If you can't play, it doesn't matter about any of that other stuff. But a good first sign for both Zach Wilson and who's Dangerous? Dangerous. Don't care for OTAs. Now remember, these are voluntary OTAs, so again, there's some valuable stuff that can come out of there. There's guys who are on new teams or rookies can get some chemistry with players and start to get initiated into the culture of the team, but for the most part, I don't agree with them. Need more offense. You're talking about Washington? I agree. I think that would be, we're going to talk about Washington in a second. Elsewhere, Tebow. A lot of rumors about Tebow, and I don't know if I buy them. A lot of rumors that Urban Meyer has brought him in there. Now he's brought him in there ostensibly to be a tight end, not a quarterback, but that he plans on using him the way the Saints used Taysom Hill, along in conjunction with Drew Brees, and would run the Wildcat and do these little different spread offense things that Drew Brees could not do, and maybe the Jaguars would not want to do with Trevor Lawrence. But the difference is he's 34 or 35 years old, and I just don't think that's going to necessarily work. So we'll see. Like Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, including him, by the way. It's a very true statement. And it's funny that Mike Tyson said that. And then once Mike Tyson got punched in the face by Buster Douglas, it came true for him as well. Ironic, I guess would be the word to talk about there. And let's talk about real quick. I want to talk a little about some of the teams that have improved themselves the most through free agency and the draft. And you guys can weigh in with your choices here. We'll get you. We're at the point where we're going to get to your comments a lot. Tebow's good for football, except that Tebow can't play football. Fine. I mean, I have nothing against Tim Tebow. And maybe we won't get to what I want to talk about. We'll get into your guys' topics right now. I'm going to talk about some of the teams that got most improved in football, and maybe that can be your topics, or it can be anything you want, because we're in the last half hour of the show, last 20 minutes of the show. It's your time to shine. Let's talk about Tim Tebow. A lot of rumors, a lot of talk. Tim Tebow was banished from the league because of his religious beliefs and this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? Tim Tebow isn't in the NFL because he can't play good enough. That's why he wasn't in the NFL. Couldn't play well enough. If he could play, he'd have been on a team this whole time, would not have been with the Mets and that joke of a baseball career. Oh, gosh. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't wait until the Weiner go play the Eagles and get their ass kicked. Well, he's got to get on the team first, unless the Vikings take him out first. Well, apparently the Weiner is going to have a tough time of it this year. So anyway, just back to the Tebow. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think the NFL cares. And I'll open up this can of worms, because I say it to a lot of people. There's people who think that Kaepernick's been blackballed. Kaepernick can't play. If Kaepernick could play, the NFL doesn't care about all this other stuff. It's very obvious. And I'm not going to dive into it all because we don't do that here. But my stance with any of these guys, if they can play, they'd be in the league. Ray Lewis. All I got to tell you, Ray Lewis, one of the great players in the history of the game. Was he involved in some sordid stuff off the field? If you can play, you get a chance to play. If you can't, you don't. It's that simple. Tim Tebow has not been in the league for the last, 8 years. Who's the last team he played with? The Jets? Billy? I think the Patriots brought him in but cut him in training camp. Yeah, he still needs to make the team. He's 34, 35 years old. I'm not sure which. Again, I don't think there's conspiracies to keep guys out of the league. Not guys that can play. Doesn't happen. You think these teams care about, again, I'm not going to dive into this a whole lot, but I'll just talk about it from 10,000 feet. If you think they care about their political comments, if you think they care about even their off-the-field conduct that much, they don't. They should. They should. Ray Lewis is a perfect example. Perfect example of if you have talent and you can get out of the trouble you're in, because like Aaron Hernandez couldn't, you'll get back in the league. But if you can't play, you don't get a shot. What else you guys got? Throw it at me. Talk a little bit about some teams I think improved themselves while you guys are doing that real quick. So here's I'm going to get to a top 5, but here's an honorable mention. I think the Cardinals did a great job in improving themselves. They had a J.J. Watt and Rodney Houston, A.J. Green, Malcolm Butler, who I don't think can play anymore. Zavon Collins is a rookie, and Rondell Moore. I think this team made a flurry of moves here, and I think they improved their defense and their leadership with Watt and Hudson. And I think they need that. And Collins is a really good rookie linebacker, and I think he gives them a different look on defense as well, especially with Watt. If Watt can play, Watt gets hurt a lot. And Rondell Moore gives them a little bit more playmaking ability at the wide receiver spot to help, obviously help their offense and their still young quarterback. And Cliff Kingsbury is still learning his way around the NFL as well. Let's see. Arizona will be in the playoffs. I kind of agree, Carlos, that unfortunately for them, I mean, they're probably playing in the best division in football still, depending on what the 49ers are able to do. Another honorable mention for me, the Broncos. They added Teddy Bridgewater, Kyle Fuller, who I like a lot, Ronald Darby, and then in the draft, Patrick Surtain and Javonte Williams. I love Javonte Williams. Love him. I can't believe Buffalo didn't take him, to be honest with you. They need a running back. I can't believe they didn't take him. So they bring in Fuller, who played his best football for Vic Fangio in Chicago, which will certainly help. And, having some veteran presence for Surtain and some of those young guys on defense, and, of course, Von Miller, I think the Denver defense is going to take a step up next year. And I think Teddy Bridgewater will probably win the job over Drew Lock myself. I think they want Drew Lock to win the job, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is a good fallback. He can manage for the football games. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but, I think the Broncos will be better. What do we got here? Wild card, I think you're talking about Arizona. I agree. Broncos will not be in the playoffs. I don't think they'll be in the playoffs either, but I think they'll be better. Carlos is my only point there. The Giants improved themselves. I don't think the Giants will make the playoffs either, by the way, but they did improve themselves a lot with Kenny Galladay, Adoree Jackson, and then obviously their rookie take of Kadarius Toney from Florida, and I love Azeez Ujulari from Georgia, I believe. The problem here, so again, they get better at wide receiver, much better between the rookie and Galladay. and they get much better on defense. And being long, like Adulari, is important today, especially when you have smaller quarterbacks. Being able to get yourself bigger and taller, affects the way they play the game. Big problem for the Giants is I'm not sold on their quarterback. This is a big year for Daniel Jones, and if he doesn't prove it now, he's not going to ever prove it. Fangio will get fired. I don't know about that one. Giants will need Daniel Jones to be good, and I don't think he is. Oh, they need to let him go. Sorry. It's possible, and this will be it. He will either be he'll either show that he's the player they thought he was, and I don't think he takes good enough care of the football, or he'll be Sam Darnold. Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Shaquille Griffin, Rayshon Jenkins, Roy Robertson, Harrison Titan Campbell, Marvin Jones. Some really good talent here, guys, on a team that was not that long ago went deep in the playoffs without a quarterback, with Blake Bortles as their quarterback. And, oh, God, can't remember the coach's name already, who just got fired. I think Urban Meyer, and I'm sure I'm going to get pushback on this, Urban Meyer is going to be a guy who can win in the NFL. Urban Meyer is not going to be a long-term guy in the NFL. Urban Meyer is going to be here 4 or 5 years. So this is not going to be a long rebuild. This team is going to take a step forward this year, and they'll be competitive. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but this isn't a 5-year plan. This is a 2 or 3 year plan for Urban Meyer, because he's not staying here 10 years. We know that. They did a great job in getting Lawrence and Etienne. Etienne's going to be a great a hybrid player, playing wide receiver and running back. And I think you're going to see a big jump here. And also adding, some guys, as we said, like, I like Marvin Jones at the wide receiver slot. I think he's somebody who has not met his potential and possibly can jump ahead. Let's see. Jags are like the Dolphins of the 80s. Division's tough, or not. I mean, if Carson Wentz is a bust, the Colts are in trouble. Their Colts offensive line is terrible. Terrible. They got 2 great running backs, but their offensive line is terrible. Their defense is pretty good. Texans are a mess. And I think the Titans rely too much on Henry. Henry gets hurt, they're in trouble. Do not tell a sneaky G-man what you think about. I have told him what I think about Danny Jones. Danny Nichols. Danny Dimes. Danny Nichols. No Super Bowls for the Jags ever with Meyer as a coach. Carlos, you are tough on coaches. Not sure why. Why? I mean, I'm pretty sure Urban Meyer's done pretty good as a coach. Not in the NFL, I agree. But is there any reason to believe, other than the fact he's coming from college, that they can't win with Urban Meyer? Been a winner everywhere he went. Everywhere. He made Utah a national power. Almost won a national championship at Utah. Coaching's coaching, I think. Again, I don't think he's there for the long term. I think this is something that's got to happen in the next 4 or 5 years, because I think that's going to be his shelf life there. KC recovers from loss and wins Super Bowl. I don't disagree, but I'm kind of talking about the most improved teams, and I don't think they need to be that much improved. They need to improve their offensive line, and they certainly did that. The Browns. Their additions: John Johnson III, Troy Hill, Giovanni and Clowney. Not a big hero there. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with this assessment that they're one of the top 5 picks or improvements. But again, my problem here with the Browns, and I guess the problem is with me, is I'm not a big believer in Baker Mayfield. But he proved me wrong last year. all year long, I said, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, you're terrible. But he played very, very well. He played really good football. And I think they've done a great job of adding some bodies to their defense because they gave up way too many points last year, I think. And they added some guys that are going to be very, very integral in helping the defensive coordinator, Joe Woods here, making it better. I mean, John Johnson III was a major component of the Rams' top-rated defenses the last few years. I think he'll excel here in this defense. Excuse me. And I think the same thing with another former Ram in Troy Hill to play in the defensive backfield. They've got plenty of weapons on offense. They just need to stop people, and the Browns will be much better. Where are we? 10:50. You guys keep thinking if you got some topics. I'm running into my last few teams. The Jets, Delay Pulver. Do not think they will compete for a playoff spot, but I do think the Jets will win 6 games. That'll be, again, what the Jets can't get too excited about or too worked up about is the number of wins they get this year. If they're competitive and they're making progress, that's what you need to look at. It's a very tough division they're playing in. They're going to finish last. But they made some great moves, starting with Wilson, obviously. Signing Corey Davis as a weapon for Davis was important. Drafting Elijah Moore, who I love out of Mississippi, also to be a wide receiver target for him. And they made some big improvements on defense with Carl Lawson as a pass rusher. Very good player. So now you got guys that are going to come in and the guys that are going to fit the system that they're building both on offense with LaFleur's offense and also, Robert Saleh's defensive philosophy. So, and by the way, Zach Wilson's the quarterback. I mean, have you looked at who else is in quarterback? I can't name the 2 guys without looking at the depth chart. Too much pressure on the rookie. Well, not too much pressure on the rookie. All you got to do is get better. There's no pressure. There should be no pressure this year. No pressure. All you need to do is improve. Win 5-6 games and look good doing it. Be competitive. You had a good year. Yeah, too much pressure. If Jet fans are worried about wins and losses this year, then there's going to be too much pressure on the rookie. He's going to start, Billy, unless they bring in another quarterback. Because if go look at the depth chart, I can't name either. I can't tell you who either guy is without looking at it. All right, this one I'll get ripped at for being a homer, but the New England Patriots, tremendous additions, and Jonnu Smith, the tight end, Hunter Henry, the tight end. Hunter Henry's tight end skills are I'll tell you what. I mean, he's almost as good as. Well, he's better than Gronk now. He's almost as good as the Kansas City tight end. His name's escaping me right now. It'll come to me, I'm sure. But he's one of the best tight ends in the league still. And Jonnu Smith is tracking to be in that territory as well. They also brought in on the defensive side, Matt Judon. Kyle Van Noy comes back. And then they signed some, and by the way, Christian Barmore, the rookie from Alabama. Plus Hightower comes back from opting out. The defense is automatically better. The front 7, much better than what we looked at last year. And the weapons now, you also brought in Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. So you had those 4 guys, Hunter, Henry, Jonnu, Aguilar, and Bourne to this team, and all of a sudden they look much better. And whoever the quarterback is going to have better weapons. And I'll tell you that I still think the quarterback will be Mac Jones if he's the best quarterback in camp. Got to be the best. Kelsey, thank you. Travis Kelsey. You mean the cheaters. That's right. I mean the cheaters. Of course I mean the cheaters, Mickey. Because we can't get through a broadcast without mentioning cheating in the Patriots. Don't take that personally, Mickey, because there's usually other guys who will throw that at me. And guys know how I feel. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages from Amazon. I got to stop shopping, man. So again, I think they make a step forward. Look at that division is going to be really solid and tough. Top to bottom, the Jets are not going to be an easy win for anybody. And the team I think can prove themselves the most is a team I get to talk about every Wednesday night on the NFC East show right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I know Mickey Delaney stops in. I'm a contributor to that show. The rest of them are super fans. Sneaky G for the Giants, True Blue for the Cowboys, and the Philly sports guy for the Eagles. I'm just a Washington contributor because they needed a guy to talk about the Redskins. I'm not a Redskins fan, but they've done a great job. Fitzpatrick, while I'm not a Ryan Fitzpatrick fan, he's certainly an upgrade over what they worked with last year, and that's no knock on Alex Smith. Great job coming back. Glad he retired before he got hurt badly. But Chris Samuel, really nice addition to this team. William Jackson III, Jermaine Smith, Samuel Cosme. This team made really good additions to an already great defense. And a defense is what's going to win for them. A little surprised they didn't pick a quarterback later on in the draft to maybe push Fitzpatrick later in the season. But look at this team in that division. I think they're still the best team in that division because of the defense and because of the head coach. They could really use some help at running back. I think they got a couple of really good wide receivers, and I think they can still – that team, look at – somebody's going to win the NFC East with 9 wins. 9-8, by the way. 9-8. Could be 8-9. I don't know. They could have another season with a below 500 team. I'm not buying the Giants yet. They're better. I'm not buying them. The Eagles, Jamie Pace can talk about the Eagles till he's blue in the face, and Jalen Hurts. That team's not going to win 6 games. And the Cowboys, again, I think they got the most talent, but until they show something more, I just don't believe there's more to be said. So anyway, just a quick look at some of the teams I think are most improved. Lastly, in the NFL, I want to say congratulations on a tremendous career to the all-time leading scorer in NFL history, 24 remarkable seasons, a couple shaky ones near at the end. Adam Vinatieri kicked some of the biggest field goals in history for the New England Patriots, and then continued his career for even longer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with the Colts. First ballot Hall of Famer. Again, the voting's a little bit different. Those teams, AFCs, cannot pass playoffs. I'm not sure where that goes. AFC switch with AFC North. Okay. Anyway, congratulations, Adam Vinatieri. Great career. And 12-5. 12-5 for the Eagles. Mickey, make sure you log in Wednesday night and let Jamie know your prediction. You'll be very happy. That team's not winning 6 games. Anyway, my congratulations one more time to Adam Vinatieri. Guys, just remember, we got some stuff coming up. We'll talk about on Northeast Streaming Sports. We're going to have a 70s Yankees retrospective show, which Mac and Jack will be hosting. I'll be co-hosting that show with them, I think on the 16th of June, but I'll share the post again when it comes up. You can catch us, as you know, every Friday morning. My guest next week will be Peter Corrado, the author of From Hang Time to Prime Time. It's a great book. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. We'll talk about that. So my show's Fridays at 8. I'm trying to help Mickey out here. Fridays at 8, Sundays at 9, all Eastern time. My weekly vlog, which is usually Friday or Saturday. Catch them. This week's was about fan behavior, guys. Last week was about Tony La Russa. They're short. If you're looking for something short to watch, you can catch it here on Facebook. You can catch it on on YouTube. I'm also a regular guest at 9-ish every Friday morning after my show on the Mac and Jack show. As I said, I do I do a show with Dan Harris. Let's talk New York sports. I do it 2:00 on Friday afternoons with him. Dan does his show out of the UK, if you aren't aware of that. Does a lot of shows. His knowledge is very, very good about U.S. sports, I'm telling you. Check out Dan's shows. I know Mickey's been there. And also Wednesdays, as I said, we do the NFC East show. And I am the Washington contributor. I am not the super fan that the rest of them are, but I am there. Rodgers doesn't last a season. Good call. Anyway, guys, we're about out of time. So I'm going to say thank you to all of you for contributing as you always do. I love Sunday mornings because when I get you guys and your comments, it's easy for me to do the show. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree, but I have fun doing it all the time. And I'm going to start looking to do a little something with Captain Jack, by the way, on a monthly basis. I hope he's feeling better. And guys, we'll see you here Friday morning with Pete Corrado. And we'll talk the growth of the NBA from the 70s to where we are today. We'll see you soon. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk, and Northeast Streaming Sports. See you later.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any